Phaeton entered the gleaming palace of the sun god and walked to the throne room. He stopped in the doorway, blinded by the radiance of Helios, the sun god, who wore a purple robe and sat high on a throne of emeralds. "Come to me, my boy," said Helios, the sun god. Phaeton stepped forward and bowed his head to shield his eyes from the sun's awesome brightness. Then he kneeled before the throne. "What brings you to seek your father?" Helios asked gently. "I came to get your promise that I am really your son," Phaeton answered. "The boys at school laugh at me and say I'm not, but my mother has always said my father is the son. To prove I'm your father, I'll give you anything you ask." "Father, I've only one wish. I want to do what you do early each morning. I want to drive your chariot alone across the sky and turn night into day." "Oh no, I cannot allow you to do that," cried Helios. "But you promised. I spoke too rashly. Please, may the gods allow me to take back my promise." "It's too late, Father," said Phaeton, "but this is one wish I could not grant my son. The trip is too dangerous. Even Jupiter, greatest of all the gods, cannot drive my winged horses. They're hot with fire." "I can drive them, Father, if I'm really your son." "No, you can't. How can you fight the spin of the world? How can you fight the wild beasts and the terrible monsters?" But Phaeton only smiled at Helios. "I know I can do what you do, Father," he said. The sun god rubbed a magic salve on Phaeton's face to shield him from the heat. He set his crown of flashing sunbeams on the boy's head. Then he looked at his son and sighed. "At least listen to my advice," he said. "Keep to the middle path. Do not veer off to the side. Neither get too high nor too low, for the sky and earth need equal heat. If you're too high, you'll burn the sky, and if you're too low, you'll burn the earth." "All right, Father," cried Phaeton, as he held the reins proudly, and the horses neighed and pawed the ground. "Follow the wheel tracks of my daily path," cried Helios. "Spare the whip and hold the reins tightly." "I will, Father, I will." Before the sun god could say more, Phaeton snapped the reins. "It's time, Father," he said. "Day's calling, night is gone." Suddenly the four horses leapt forward into the boundless sky. "Don't go, my son," shouted Helios. "Let me give the world light today." But Phaeton couldn't hear his father. The chariot was so light it tossed back and forth like a ship on stormy waves. The horses grew frightened and galloped faster, until they were more swift than the east wind. Phaeton pulled hard on the reins, but he couldn't slow his horses down. He looked around wildly, but he couldn't see the wheel tracks. The horses had left their worn path. Phaeton looked below, and when he realized how far away the earth was, he became sick with fright. He called in panic for his father's help. He yelled for his horses to stop, but his horses galloped out of control. They swept past more savage beasts in the sky. Phaeton dropped the reins, and the horses bounded into regions they never traveled before. They crashed into stars. All of heaven cried out in terror as the chariot went off course. The moon, the skies, and the earth all caught on fire. Flames spread across mountaintops and burned the snow, spilling black smoke into the clouds. Even Mount Olympus, home of the gods, was on fire. Mother Earth shielded her hot forehead and shouted in agony. Burned with flame, she cried out to Jupiter, the greatest of the gods. "Hurl your lightning bolts now and end this fury death caused by Phaeton." Then she could speak no longer, for the smoke and flames were choking her. Jupiter, hypnotized by the sight of the flames licking the world, roused himself when he saw Mother Earth dying. He rolled his thunder and lifted a giant bolt of lightning behind his head and flung it through the sky. The bolt struck the sun chariot, breaking its wheels and spokes, and fire extinguished fire. Flame put out flame, and the mad horses leapt free of their harness as Phaeton fell from the sky. Phaeton's hair was on fire as he fell, leaving behind a trail of sparks. He looked like a falling star. Far from home, half a world away from his mother, he fell into a river. The river god held Phaeton's poor smoldering body and bathed his burning face. Then the water nymphs buried Phaeton, and on his tomb they wrote, "Here lies Phaeton, who tried to be the sun. Greatly he failed, but greatly he dared." For a whole day the sun god mourned his son. He refused to drive the chariot. When Jupiter went to see the sun god, he found him sitting on his emerald throne, with his head bowed, not moving as he sat in mourning. Jupiter bid Helios to look up and answer to him for not driving his golden chariot. Rise, Helios, roared Jupiter. Stop blaming me for your son's death. You have work to do. The world is waiting for you. The sun god heaved a great sigh, then slowly rose from his throne. Trembling with sorrow, he strode out of the palace. The sun god stepped into the gleaming golden chariot. He put on his crown of flashing sunbeams, the same crown Phaeton had worn. And as the weeping sun god grabbed the reins tightly and snapped them, they bolted into the boundless blue sunlight sky.